In a previous video, I addressed the two major issues with running a suppressor on an AK-style rifle, those being alignment of the bore of the barrel with the bore of the suppressor, commonly referred to as bore concentricity, and what to do with the gas system. I recommend checking out that video before this one for more background information and context. Link will be in the description to a playlist of all my AK content. In that video, I showed that the bore alignment on this Wasser 10 rifle was off far enough that my bore alignment rod was touching the baffles and the end cap of the suppressor. This meant I couldn't safely run this rifle with my suppressor without risking damage to the suppressor, rifle, or both. Since this chemo muzzle device from Sons of Liberty Gunworks butts up against the muzzle of the barrel, I figured the face of the muzzle must not be perpendicular to the axis of the bore. There is also a possibility that the muzzle threads are out of concentricity with the bore of the barrel so much that even a nice square muzzle won't pull the muzzle device back into alignment. That's not really an easy fix. It would require a new barrel or significant machine work on this barrel. However, if the face of the muzzle is not square to the bore, that is a relatively easy fix. I am going to attempt to square up the face of this muzzle in this video and show my process. From Brownell's, I got this 90-degree muzzle cutter facing tool, a 30 caliber pilot, and this little screw-on T-handle. All of this together was $100. There's more than one pilot diameter for 30 caliber bores. I ordered the .2963 diameter because it was the closest to my 295 bore alignment rod that fit nicely in the barrel. I will link to all of these tools in the description. The first order of business is getting this muzzle device off, which of course I put on with lots of high temp thread locker. Oh. Okay, the pilot is a nice fit in the bore, and that will keep the face of the cutter perpendicular to the muzzle. This is going to be a hand job.
Skulle du kunna runka av mig då?
Jag vet inte, hur gör man då?
I en ketchupflaska. Och så vill du få ut ketchupen.
Okay.
Sorry, I meant I will be doing this by hand, and I will go slow to make sure I don't damage my barrel. Got a nice flat surface across the muzzle. Snugged up my muzzle device and put the suppressor on, and I actually do have some clearance now between the rod and the suppressor end cap, but not as much as I hoped. Before you attempt something like this, don't be an idiot like me and just measure 114, 128. Clearly the threads of this barrel are not concentric with the bore. Cleaning up this muzzle face just like this, just a little bit, actually did help pull it into alignment. If the axis of the bore is offset this direction, possibly what I can do is cut a little bit more material off this bottom side, angling my muzzle device down and getting that bore alignment kind of more centered through the suppressor. So what I'm going to do is put this in here and kind of bias it one way. And I can see that I'm only cutting off the bottom side of that muzzle. I'm going to put this back on. Looks like that gap right here opened up a little bit. What I'm doing here, trying to take material selectively off one side of the muzzle more than the other, seems a little bit sketchy, but the worst case scenario is that I just can't run it suppressed, which I wasn't able to anyways. My muzzle device will still mount on there just fine. So, you know, seeing if we can make it work, and if we can't, then, well, that answers that question. Okay, that gap is definitely opening up. So by biasing the material that I'm taking off to one side in the direction I need to go, I'm actually pulling that muzzle device into alignment because I have enough room to do that with the play and the threads. That's looking a lot better. I got quite a bit of room around that guy. Now there is a bigger gap on this back side than the front side, so that means I could stand to tilt the suppressor this way a little bit. So I'm going to try to take some meat off the face of the muzzle just on this side and see where that gets me. So now I'm kind of pushing it from the back side towards me. Okay, I'm going to be real with you. I am pretty fucking pleased with myself. That clearance looks good to me. Plenty of room all the way around it. I think that's good enough to send it. One last little thing I'm going to do is just take some really fine sandpaper on a flat surface, a file in this case, and run it over the top of this while making sure I keep it square or, you know, parallel to that surface, just to make sure I take off any little burrs or high spots left by that cutter. And of course, before I call this done, I'm going to run a barrel swab through here a few times with some patches to make sure I get any metal shavings that fell down in the barrel out of there before I go shoot it. In the interest of doing a spiffy job here, I'm going to see if this barrel material will take cold blue now that it's bare metal right there. Oh, yes, sir. All right. Okay, I didn't just dump a full mag first thing. These are the actual first shots of this rifle suppressed. I started by taking 10 more clicks of gas out from the standard position on the KNS Piston. That cycled fine, and I was flinging empties pretty far, so I took 10 more clicks out. Still a bit too much. 10 more clicks for a total of 30 from my standard position. That was feeling pretty good, but I wanted to see how much gas I could take out of it, so I fully opened up the piston. This was about 36 clicks past my standard position. That felt really good, but was a little on the anemic side, so I turned it back 6 clicks for an even 30 clicks past my standard position. I would rather err on the side of slightly more gas to keep it reliable when it gets super dirty or cold. After that, I just put some rounds through it. It performed awesome. The recoil was a gentle shove. The gas in the face wasn't nearly as bad as my ARs or my Steyr AUG. This is a typical overgas wasser, so for my standard position, I'm taking 24 clicks of gas out of it. That is opening up the ports that allow gas to bypass the piston. Then, with it suppressed, I open up the bypass holes another 30 clicks. With the suppressor hanging off the end of this gun, it's pretty long, unwieldy, and quite heavy as well, but it's still a lot of fun to shoot. In conclusion, my muzzle threads were clearly not concentric with the bore. I should have taken a closer look at the muzzle and measured the wall thickness in a few spots before doing this work, and I honestly don't know why I didn't, but hey, sometimes we all miss something. However, I got very lucky. By cutting a slight angle on the muzzle face, I was able to pull the muzzle device into alignment with the bore due to the play in the threads. Thanks for hanging out with me while I figured this one out. Thanks for watching. Come on, man. Cool down. I want to go home.